Hey, thanks for joining us today. It is May 2nd, 2022. Right now it's 92 degrees in Phoenix. That seems hot, doesn't it? It's hotter in some places. Hey, today we haven't done our book reviews in a while, so we figured we'd give you this one here. John the Beloved, from DelHousaye. It's a short book, about 62 pages, I believe. And talks about John, one of the youngest disciples at the Last Supper, if you remember. And he was the last of the 12. Every other one was martyred. John was not. Remember in the early days when anyone opposed Jesus, he learned under John the Baptist. "Oh, you Pharisees, who told you to be saved?" So he had that attitude, that national pride. Sons of thunder. So when Jesus and him were walking, one day there was people doing something that were different than the disciples. Says, "Should we call down thunder on them, Lord?" And wipe them out right here and there. John had a lot to learn as he walked with Jesus. But yet, he was the one whom Jesus loved. He did not let you forget that. And he was often in competition with Peter. With Peter. He would say that they would run a race and he would be there first. Or like, oh yeah, that one in the garden that cut the ear off? No, it was Peter. But yet he was also the one who helped him back to being homeward bound and restored him to no condemnation, as well as the Lord did, restoring him to ministry. And, back in the time of Nero and Polycarp, they tried to boil him to death, but it didn't work. So he was sentenced out to Patmos, an island. And 60 years later, he has a visitation from the Lord Jesus. And he writes Revelation, and he also writes 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John before he goes. And Polycarp, no Polycarp, well, yeah, I think he was one that, what am I thinking of? Well, these were the early church fathers that verified his works afterward. Now, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they didn't like any of the disciples. They thought of them as profane and vulgar men, unlearned country bumpkins. They said, we studied under Hillel or Gamaliel. We went to Yeshiva U. Where'd you go? But yet the Pharisees and Sadducees, they lived mostly in isolation. And that wasn't the gospel that Jesus was bringing. He went out to the people. Now, it's interesting in this book, you'll also find out that John's mom, says, well, Lord, who can my boys sit on your right hand and your left hand? And they said, that's not mine to give, but can they drink the cup? And of course, that angered the other disciples. When we conclude with John's life, what does he end with in those 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John? Love one another. Well, DelHousaye has some very unique insights. The book doesn't cost very much. I believe it's under $10. And I highly recommend it if you're able to get it. John the Beloved. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us.